Hey everyone, so today, if you clicked on this video, you're in for a treat. You're going to learn a lot, so please just stay till the end because there is so much to this. And I need you to grasp all of it because it's so good, I promise, all right? So this video is about Gary Halbert. So this is a direct marketer that died in 2007, and so there's not much about him on the internet anymore. So I've been studying a lot of Jay Abraham and Den Kennedy, these amazing gurus, these amazing people in the direct marketing space that have transformed direct marketing forever or just business forever. And one guy that they attribute a lot of their success to is Gary Halbert. And so Gary Halbert was one of the best direct marketers on the planet. So I was looking all throughout the web trying to find stuff about him because all these guys link back to him, like almost all, like what's his name, Russell Brunson, Sam Ovens, like a lot of them get a lot of their stuff from Gary Halbert. So Gary Halbert, since he died, there's not a lot about him. So I was looking on the web trying to find stuff about him. There's almost nothing. I found a webinar or it wasn't a webinar, it was like an event, right? So some guy was talking, there was this event, and he was selling a Gary Halbert like course, but it was in CDs, and this was in 2010, I believe, was this event. And the recording of those CDs was in 1999. And so I was trying to find, so I found the people that were selling this in 2010. I was asking if they still had any copies available. They said that they did. They had a digital copy. I was able to get it from them, and I went through the entire thing. So it was literally 8 CDs worth of just Gary Halbert talking. So it was literally just them at a round table just talking about marketing and stuff for like 10 hours straight, something like that. Or like it was 2 days worth of content. And so I just listened to it as if it's like a podcast, and I just listened to it over the last week, and I learned a ton from it. And I just want to share everything that I learned throughout that process with you today. So there is a ton that a lot of these principles apply that no one's really applying anymore, but they make so much sense as to how they apply today, but no one's really using them. So I want to share those with you on what it is that the greatest marketer on the planet was doing. So kind of a backstory on him. He started as just trying to do marketing, and he was really bad at it. And he had a wife, and his wife said, like, they turned off the electricity, they turned off the water, it was cold in the house, and his wife said, look, if you do not get this to work within 2 weeks, I'm going to need you to go get a job. Like, you have to go get a job. And so he said, all right, he went down to his basement, and he turned off everything, and he said, if the government was going to chop off my head if I didn't get this to work, right, this piece of copy, which is a letter, like, that he was going to write and send out to people. If I didn't get this to work, the government was going to chop off my head. What would I write? And so he wrote this letter. I think it was about, it was kind of like an ancestry thing. And he wrote this letter, and it is the most mailed letter that has ever been mailed ever. So that letter that he wrote under that immense pressure was mailed over 1 billion times. And he said that the only thing that he really liked about flying across the country is that when he flew and he looked down at the houses, 1 in 3 houses paid him some sort of money for the copywriting work that he did for these companies. And so he was the most impactful copywriter on the planet. And so this is kind of what I learned from him. All right. So number one, there's a ton here. So I have like a ton of different bullet points, and I'm going to try to go through all of them. The hierarchy of needs isn't real. So I don't know if you guys have heard, I'm sure we've all heard it, but you have like the need of survival, and then you have the need of relationship, and then you have the need of just status, right? So having friend groups and everything, and like stuff like that. And then you have just a meaning and purpose, right? And so those needs come after the fact that you need to survive first and all that stuff. But Gary Halbert was saying none of that's real. The number one thing that people need is to stay comfortable. And so when you change anything, you immediately feel anxiety. So changing your price or your offer or the way that you pitch something or the way that you reach out to somebody or even your location or even your vocation or just literally anything. That's what you really need to change. And yet nobody does it. And so literally, if you change anything and you just take action, you'll just get farther than 99% of the people on earth, because 99% of the people, they have dreams and they have goals, but no one actually acts on them at all. So that's the main thing that I think that I took away. It's one of the major things I took away, was that like nobody's really doing anything. Like no one's changing anything. No one's trying anything. They're all just, this is what is comfortable to me, and I'm not going to go outside of this box because this is what feels comfortable to me. And if I go outside of it, then I feel discomfort, So something that also this theory I just came up, I was like making chicken and waffles, and I just came up with this theory of everybody has controls. So I believe they're called controls. I don't even really know. But a control in an ad or advertising is like, this is the base and this is what works. So we create an ad and this is what works. If I post this on Facebook, if I post this on YouTube, whatever, I know I'm going to get clients from this ad, right? We know this works. And so that's your control. And then you create a separate ad that's kind of like the first one, but it's a little different, right? And so you have the control and you have the second one, and you test them against each other. So is this one working better than this one? And you say, okay, the second one is not working better. All right, let's go back to the control. Let's just keep this constant and steady. And then you try another one, right? You try all these different ones, and we try to find which one works better. And then we find one that consistently works better. Now that one becomes the new control, right? So now this is the control. Now we get, what's this one? This one. Can we test all these against the new control? And then can we create a new control that works even better, right? So we just keep going and going and going. So people have their own controls. And so something, I think it was Dan Kennedy or Gary Halbert in these tapes, I forget. But people, they always go back to what's comfortable to them. So people that win the lottery, usually within 2 years, they're back at nothing because they have a control. Like maybe they're poor, or maybe they're just, whatever their lifestyle is, right? This is the range that they're usually at. And then they get all this money, and then that's outside of the control. So it's like, this is uncomfortable. And so they find a way to get back to what was comfortable to them by spending all that money and then having nothing in the end. Same with, same with anything. So like for me, or for you, I'm sure you noticed that, when you're a kid, $5 was a lot to you and you spend it pretty easily. And so that was your control, right? So having $5 was good. And then when you're an adult, you're like, okay, if I have $5 in my bank account, I get anxious, I get anxiety, and I need to go out and I need to make some more money because I don't have any, right? And I need to do whatever I can to save. I'm going to live frugally. Remember when I worked at Apple, it was like an Apple retail store. So it wasn't like, I worked at Apple. I worked at Apple. I had $27 when I got there. And my first day I had $27. Every single day I ate ramen noodles twice a day, and that's all I ate. Was like ramen noodles twice a day. I would go to bed and have these massive leg cramps because my job was to like walk back and forth and all this stuff. It's like, it was, but my control was like, on average, I had like $1,500 in my bank account and I only had 27. And so I needed to get back up to the control. So that's kind of, we all have those controls. We all have these comfort zones. And if you step outside, most people don't step outside of it. But if you do, if you try something, if you try, your dreams or your ideas, or your concepts and all that stuff, if you try it and it works better than what you're currently doing, that becomes your new control. And so then you make $10,000 and then you have $10,000 in your bank account. And anytime you get below that, you're like, ooh, that's not the control. I need to get back to that. And so then you work as hard as you can to get back to that. So people that usually win the lottery, they usually go back to their control of what they were. And then people that become more successful, and then they lose everything, usually they can get back to where they were, right? And so you always hear the stories of the comeback, right? So anyways, that's point number one, I guess. So don't stay comfortable. Your needs are to stay comfortable. Like that's your basic needs is I want to stay comfortable, but just try anything. Just displace yourself as much as possible. I know my pastor used to say this all the time, but it was like, I want to displace myself as much as I can. By that, I mean, I want to just get myself uncomfortable in any way that I can, just so I know that this isn't permanent. I don't know. Yeah, that's one of the main ones, but more into copy, we'll get into that. But nothing is more expensive than bad information or data, and then nothing is more valuable than good information or data, because you don't want to waste your time spending money on something that's not working, but you just have bad data, right? If someone's telling you it's working, or like, the data is telling you, or this thing is working and we're going off of these metrics. And as an example, if you're sending emails out and you have a really high open rate, but no one's booking calls and you're not making any money from that email, but you're going to keep sending it because you think the right data is the open rate, right? So the open rate is super high because you made a compelling subject line and people are opening the email, but no one's actually clicking, or no one's actually booking a call. No one's actually buying from you because of this email. And so you're looking at the wrong data. You're looking at the wrong information. So nothing's more expensive than bad data. Nothing's more valuable than good data, because when we have good data, we can actually make the right decisions. So curiosity is the most powerful trigger when it comes to copy. So when we want to add curiosity as much as possible. So to do this, we can make them curious on what the end result is, and then so that they need to take action. Sorry, I'm reading these notes. I don't even know what I'm saying here. Obviously curiosity, it just makes the most sense. So as an example, we can use non-consensus. So, and I talk about this in my content videos that I made, but there is consensus, which is normal, non-consensus, which is abnormal. And so the easy way to make something go viral, or to make something seem make it curious, right, is just making it the opposite of what is normal. So I know Mr. Beast posts all this stuff of like $1 million, like $1 house versus $1 million house, or $1 hotel room versus $1 million hotel room, right? And so, or Casey Neistat, he'll do the $30,000 plane flight, right? And so the consensus is plane flight should be like $400, and now this is $30,000. That's crazy, right? That's wow, that's insane. That's makes me curious. How does that even work? And then or let's see, what you make something that's hard into something that's easy. You make something that's big into something that's small. You make something that's expensive into something that's cheap. So if I said the $10 Lamborghini, you're like, whoa, what? And you've seen there's videos that went viral, like the $78 Tesla. It's like, oh, that's really, the consensus is this is expensive, but actually it's cheap. And so you flip it on its head. You make it the opposite. And people do this in their offers. I'm going to make a new offer video on how to create your offer. But it's super easy to create a good offer if you just go against the grain. So I have a buddy named Mitch Wiggins. He's a coach. I paid him for coaching. He's really good. But his offer is how to get so many appointments a month, or how to grow your coaching business to $40K a month without, or to $100,000. I don't know, something like that, right? How to grow your business to $100,000 with no Facebook ads and no cold outreach, no VAs, right? And so the consensus is we have to use cold outreach. Which is what I do, right? We have to use VAs. We have to use Facebook ads or something. And so if you say without any cold outreach, without any VAs, and without any ads, you're like, well, what other option is there? And so you get curious. You're like, what the heck is that? And so curiosity is one of the major triggers. Another huge trigger is just teaser copy. So find out what the only the 1% know, right? Just as an example, like we tease at something. So I found this really good hack from somebody in actually they're in Hungary, and they told me this thing, and it was crazy. And when I started actually using it, was this little tactic that I'm using to get appointments. And when I started using it, I was getting like 10 appointments a day, and I don't even know how. And so I had to turn it off because of how well it was working. But I can't really tell you the secret, right? So that's all fake, but that's kind of an example of teaser. Like I have this thing, the consensus is it's hard to get appointments, and I just made it easy I did this one thing. It was super easy. It was super simple. This one little trick, and I was able to get a ton of appointments. I was able to get something that's really hard, and I turned it something that's really easy, and it's a teaser, right? So curiosity and teasers make your job a lot easier when you're doing copy. So like, just think of it. How do I make this curious? How do I make people curious in this? How do I add teasers to this so that people become curious and they want to take action, right? So I feel like I'm compelled to, like, I want to hop on a call with you now just because you said you had this one trick that you learned from this guy in Hungary, just anyways. Treat each lead that you get like the girl of your dreams. How would you approach that situation? The more you give, the more theatrical you make it, which I'll talk about in a minute, the more clever you get, the more likely she is to say yes, or they are to say yes. And so let's just say you have this girl and you're 16, or I don't know how prom works, but I didn't go to high school. You're 17, right? I don't know. And there's another senior, and she is a girl of your dreams, and you want to find, like, you think she is out of your league, but you just want to try. You want to see what you can do to get her to say yes. What can we do to get her to say yes? And so we want to think of what is the most theatrical thing we can do. What is the most, and I'll get into that in a second. What can I do that's clever, or what can I do just to show her that I care about her? All right, and so you want to do that for your leads. And so they gave a lot of examples in these tapes of and I did this as a test, but you just send your clients $1 in a letter and say, hey, I want you to frame this because this will be the first dollar out of millions that you'll make through me. So that's a good one. Or just like the other day when I was listening to this that night, what I did is I looked at all the people that have opted into my course over the last day, and I sent them a personal Loom video. I just said, hey, I'm Carson. Thank you so much for watching my course, my free course. And if you have any questions, just let me know. Just respond to my email, and I'll try to get back to you as soon as I can. And so if you're opting into my course, you probably won't get a video from me. I'm sorry. I'll try to do what I can. But if you're expecting me to send you a personal video, I'm sorry. There's just a lot of people that do it every day. But that you want to think of it like that. Like, what is the most I can do for something? Like, they reached their hand out and said, I want what you have to offer. You're watching this video right now. You've watched up to this point. I don't even know how, this is like 14 minutes long. Dang, dude. You're watching 14 minutes of me just rambling on. And right now I want to thank you for watching up to this point. And so how can I give back to you in some way? Because you're already giving me so much. You're already giving me your time of day, right? Your most precious thing, which is your time, just by watching me. So thank you for that. And so how do we treat every single lead like that? Every person that watches our videos, every person that opts into our funnel, how do I treat them like they're unique and they're the girl of my dreams, and I want to do everything I can to get you to say yes, So anyways, Next thing, take the risk out as much as possible. You will instantly improve your offer by taking the risk out. So you don't have to pay until you get results. You have a 31-day delayed payment. This system is foolproof so that if it doesn't work, it'll double your money back. And that's what's called like a win-lose or a lose-win guarantee. So even if you lose, you still win. That was from $100 million offers. But they gave the example in the book, and it was so good. Like they had such a good offer. He was just reading off this copy in the in the tapes, and it was so good. And it was made you very curious. You're like, what, you know? And you're like, that's actually really interesting. I want to see what that is. And it's only $10. And what they did was, we're going to delay the payment. So if you send us a money order or a check, what we're going to do is we're going to keep it safe. And if you think that the book wasn't worth it within 31 days, you can send the book back, and we will rip up that money order and we'll send you the money order back. So we're not gonna cash the check within for the first 31 days. And so that's like, whoa, that's actually really good, you know. And I think Alex Ramosi gave an example like this where he would like say, you know, what we'll do is the training is $5,000. You give us a check. We're gonna lay all the checks out on the back table. So if by the end of the second day you thought it wasn't worth it, you can come and get your check and we won't cash it. Or what you can do is you can pay now, and if you pay now, it's $3,000 instead of $5,000, something like that, you know. And so you just remove that risk as much as possible, and say, look, even if it doesn't work, you're not even gonna have to pay anyways. You're not gonna worry about a refund or anything like that. And so sometimes it's a little extreme, but we want to think of the most extreme thing possible and then work backwards from there. And I'll get into that in a minute. But make your offer sound irresistible by just removing the risk. Right, cool. The goal with direct outreach is to add theater. So with direct outreach or direct marketing, direct response marketing, we want to add theater. So we want to make it about drama. We want to make it compelling. We want to make it interesting, spontaneous, and unique. So people just love drama. So you want to think outside of the box as much as possible. Some examples that they gave were, what if you had a movie star like deliver a letter to your prospect? Or what if you sent it through a telegram, or you had a stork literally fly in and hand deliver a letter, or beak deliver a letter through there? Just like anything you could do, or dove just fly in with a letter of what your offer was. That is the most theatrical thing. Imagine someone seeing that. They're like, a bird just came up to me, handed me a letter, and then flew away. And I don't know. So trying to make it as theatrical as possible. So what can we do? Think outside the box, or you can say, like, I'll pay you $100 to hop on a call with me. So you want to come up with these crazy strategies, and to come up with the crazy strategies, to think to yourself, what is the most theatrical thing? Like, what is the craziest thing I can think of? And then work backwards from there. So how can I get this to work, right? Maybe I can't get a movie star. Maybe I can't get Taylor Swift to hand deliver all my letters. But what could I do? Could I get Taylor Swift to do a cameo for me and then say, hey, I just want to see if you're interested in blah, 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 blah. Maybe that's an idea. So create the most compelling, most insane idea and work backwards from there. Obviously, you still want to make it worth your while, like make it have a really good ROI. And so you don't want to waste time and money. Like I did a direct response mail sequence where I had mail and I had letters. I was just showing somebody the other day. I worked so hard on this. I spent like 24 hours straight just trying to figure out how to do this. And then I hand wrote letters or like the addresses, hand stamped it on. I did a wax seal and I put a little key. I bought all these little keys and I had hundreds of them, and I put the little key on the wax seal so it would look so elegant. And then inside the letter it said this. It said, let's see if you can read that. The missing key, or like you just found the key to getting consistent qualified sales calls or something like that. And then it had a QR code with that person's face on it. Look at that. QR code with that person's face. Like I got their photo and put it in the QR code, all that crazy stuff, but it amounted to one sales call. So we want to make sure that we're doing things that are as theatrical as possible, but also they give us a return on our investment. Like I had my partner Keaton, he did a campaign that was like $10,000 for something like this, a direct mail campaign, but it was a lot more expensive, and sent it to like 200 people, and he got one client out of it. So it's like we want to do things that obviously still have a direct ROI, are still theatrical, but also have a direct ROI, right? So cool. All right. Something you can also think is, if the government couldn't put me in jail, or the government couldn't do anything about it, they let me do whatever I want to do, what would I do to get people to respond to my messages? So like as an example, what if I made everybody's phone to where they had to see my video, like every time they opened their phone, they would watch my video, like something crazy like that. And when you think crazy like that, you start coming up with these weird ideas and great ideas. So like the Google Calendar invites I got that from a scammer or like a hacker's. And I was like, that's a really good idea. And I applied it to this, to direct outreach, and it got me really good results. I'm getting sales calls. And most people I get on, obviously I'm not hacking anybody or I'm not scamming anybody. And the calls that I get on, they're like, wow, that was really unique. That was really, I've never seen anybody else do that. That was amazing. And I get a lot of closed deals from those really unique methods, because they know that, because I get on these calls where they're like, I don't want somebody that's doing the same thing that everybody else is doing. I don't want to do LinkedIn anymore. I don't want to do email anymore because everybody else is doing it and it just doesn't work for me. I've tried it in the past. I'm like, yeah, well, that's great. That's why I reached out to you through a Google Calendar invite or through Facebook or through Instagram or through text message, because nobody else is doing those things. Anyways, all right. That's one of the most important things. Try to make this as theatrical as possible, because that's what's going to get you farther ahead. That's what separates you from everybody else, is because everybody else is doing the same thing. Everyone else is doing email. Everybody else is doing LinkedIn messages. But if you just do anything else, make it more unique, more theatrical. Try to send a video through Facebook, right? That's a little more theatrical, anyways. Something I observed, the last point, something I observed in this was that this was in 1999. So I try to think of things, how do these things apply today? Not because some of those didn't exist back or now, right? They don't exist anymore. So an example was they had trade magazines. They were talking a lot about the trade magazines as an example. Cleaning companies. There was a trade magazine that would go out to 30,000 cleaning companies a month. And they were talking about like putting ads in those trade magazines, but trade magazines don't really exist anymore. I mean, I'm sure they do, but like nobody else who reads a trade magazine. So you have to think about how does that apply today? So the things that they were talking about back then, or like direct mail, how does it apply today? Well, direct mail is basically email or LinkedIn messages or Facebook messages. It's literally the same thing. You're just reaching out to somebody directly, right? Now we're just using the internet instead of doing actual physical mail. So the other thing is, in this case, you have trade magazines, and trade magazines are just a way for the community or the audience to congregate into one section as a group. And a way to do that was through the magazines. But today we have Facebook groups or forums or YouTube channels. And so the way to get in front of your audience is just think about, where is your audience's eyes at? So what are they paying attention to? Are they on their phone? Are they on these Facebook groups? Are they watching certain YouTube channels? If they're watching these certain YouTube channels, we just want to go where their eyes are. And so if there's somebody else, let's just say I'm targeting roofing companies, and there's a famous guy on YouTube that shows you how to do different types of roofs and all his roofing stuff. And you can say, hey, can I sponsor one of your videos? I just want to put my marketing, want to be your preferred marketing thing guy, whatever. I'll do your marketing for free. Also, I'll give you $10,000 if you promote me in one of your videos. And then they promote you in one of your videos, and then you get a whole bunch of leads from that because you're going where your audience's eyes are. So there's all these roofing companies that watch this certain guy, and then you're right there in front of them. So we just want to think about, where's our audience's eyes at, and how do we get in front of them? Cool. All right. Well, these tapes are going to be available in my course. So in my paid course. So the people that pay me, or if you want the course, you can get it through me. You can book a call, and I can show you how that looks. But you get access to all these different tools and strategies, everything that I do to get appointments. So all these different unique methods and strategies. So you get all that, plus you get these Gary Halbert tapes. I paid $500 for it, and I think it was well worth it. And so anyone that has a course, you're welcome. Just an added bonus to you. And I'll keep adding and keep adding and keep adding to that, and you don't have to pay anything else after that. So, and also with the course, if you don't like it within 30 days, I give you all your money back. Plus, you get to keep the course. There's your win-lose guarantee. So even if you lose, you still win. All right. Thank you so much for watching. If you're interested in that, you can book a call with me below, and I'll talk to you soon.